Blassie, welcome to the show. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me pull you over to the screen here and minimize my thing here too. You can see me too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let me pull you over here. Now I'll resize the screen as well. I was just talking about the pyramids in Mexico City. Now, you're Latina. Do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I speak Spanish.
Okay, so I live in Mexico, in Merida, in the Yucatan Peninsula, and have lived here for almost 2 years. I don't speak Spanish though, which is sad. I should have learned by now. But when you went to the pyramids, I just happened to be talking about the pyramids. Did a lot of the vendors like try to? I don't say bother you, but did they try to sell you shit? Like I have one of the things here actually that I bought. They sold me a bunch of stuff and a black cat, all kinds of things here. Did they accost you as much as they accosted me?
Yes, 100% they did. Although even though I do speak Spanish and I feel like I speak it well, I speak it fluently. I don't think that it helped in any way. Like I don't think that like they saw me as more Mexican
Right.
once I started speaking Spanish. Like I still felt like they kind of saw me as like a tourist foreigner. So I thought that there would be some like real camaraderie or something, but
But
there
there
really
wasn't.
wasn't.
Yeah, I ended up spending like 6,000 pesos on shit like this. Like I have another necklace in there. I was like, whatever, fine. And then I used to have a black cat. You can't. It's black and white, so it's hard to see. But I used to have
Yeah.
a black cat. And this guy, he was trying to sell me something when I came in. I was like, if you're still here when I come out, I'll buy the black cat for 300 pesos. And he was there, and he remembered what I said. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll get it. But yeah, they sold me that. They gave me this for free. You can't. I don't know if you can see what this is, but this is supposed to be obsidian, right? And so you can look through it, and you can look directly at the sun. Uh,
Oh yeah, they
yes,
did show me that.
yeah,
My tour guide actually, he stopped one of the vendors and asked him if we could borrow it so that I could see. And I think that my tour guide kept getting frustrated with me because like we also bought the Jaguar whistle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They
I
have
only
those, yeah,
bought that,
yeah.
I only bought that for the Blassie on the beat. Like that's literally the only reason that I got it. But like I kept like I was practicing with it before like I filmed the video and I just was like not getting the hang of it. And I think that he was getting pretty frustrated with me.
Yeah, they kept trying to, I actually didn't get the whistle, but they had those everywhere, and we're trying. And I didn't take. Usually, I get a tour guide when I go to these, but I just happened to be staying there anyway, around that area. So
Mhm.
I just walked. It was, I don't know, it was a couple miles, so it wasn't that far. And so I just walked into the pyramids myself, and they're not.
Wow.
Yeah, I just walked straight in there. And of course, like I said, there's a lot of vendors, and they're all like, "This is the best silver, and you got to get it now. I'm about to leave right now." And da 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 da. So
Yeah.
I did buy a few things when I was there, but they're not actually Aztec pyramids. They're the Aztecs. I think discovered them like later
Yeah,
on.
that's what I learned. And I learned that one of the pyramids was supposed to represent the moon, and the other one was supposed
Yes,
to represent the sun,
yes,
and that the the reason that they would do sacrifices to the gods was because to keep them like pushing like the moon and the sun every day,
yes.
like to make sure that things were
Now, did they
going. I
do
don't know.
live human sacrifices there too, or not? I don't know. See, I didn't have a tour guide. Like I said, I just went, and then I read, I read a little bit about it before and after. But I just happened to be in the area, and that's an area
Mhm.
of Mexico City I'm usually never in. Usually, I'm in Condesa or Palenque or Roma or somewhere like that. And I just happened to be
Yes.
around that area, and I was like, I'll probably never be in this area of Mexico City again. So I just went to the pyramids. They're very cool to see. I've seen Chichen Itza, which is here in the Yucatan, which is one of the wonders of the world. It's really cool to see as well, and Uxmal and a lot of the Mayan. There's tons of Mayan ruins here, but I'd never seen the ruins there in Mexico City. So they're pretty impressive though. I'd rank them up there with Uxmal and Chichen Itza. They're pretty cool to see.
Yeah. I did you go to the cave restaurant that was like
Yes, I
that's
did.
near the pyramid?
I went there after and ate at the cave
Yeah.
restaurant. I forgot the name of it now though. But yes, I have a picture of me in the cave restaurant. Yeah, they're like, you got to go to the cave restaurant. And so yeah, I went there. It was a little high priced. I'm not. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay. You guys are charging a lot just for me being down here in these caves. But the food was good though. The food was good and it was very impressive. I've never eaten inside of a cave. It's beautiful. It was a beautiful place.
Yeah, I my tour guide afterwards he drove us there. He was like, I'm gonna show you like a surprise. And then he drove us to the cave and restaurant, and I thought it was really cool. He
Really?
said that the food was overrated,
Little.
but that like I don't know. I liked it a lot. Like for me, for like to enjoy a restaurant, it's really like, you know, a negligible part is about the food, actually. It's really
The
mostly
setting.
about the ambiance and the
Yeah.
vibes and the service. And so I feel like a cave would have been it's like a perfect setting for me.
It's one of the coolest places you can eat. I won't say the food was like overrated. It was overpriced a little bit compared to some other parts of Mexico. But I mean, you're really paying for being inside the cave, right? For the ambiance, like you
Yeah.
said. And the service was great. And I really enjoyed eating there. But I had gotten told, I guess by one of the vendors in there, they're like, you got to check out the cave restaurant after. So yeah, I ate at the cave restaurant, and I just happened to see you took pictures, and I was like, I was just there 2 weeks ago. What the hell? But I didn't have a tour guide, so I kind of just walked through, and some of the vendors were telling me stuff though too. So I kind of got a little bit of halfway tour guide. I spent enough where it was worth it. Right? They should tell me a few things. But yeah, the temples were really cool to see. Have you ever been to the Yucatan? What other parts of Mexico have you been to?
That was my first time in Mexico. I am
Really?
from Mexico. My parents are born and raised in Mexico, but that was my first time ever in Mexico. And I'm not even from Mexico City. I'm from Guanajuato and Zacatecas. So that's central Mexico, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time in Mexico. Yeah. Well, that was my first time in that area. It's not real. I mean, it's technically, I guess, Mexico City, but it's like metro area, Mexico City. The whole area is like 22 million people. It's fucking huge. But I'd never been in that part. It's really chill. It's a really chill place though. It's kind of a small town atmosphere versus like Palenque is like Manhattan. I don't
Yeah.
know. So there's some really fancy places in Mexico City. I tried to tell some people, they didn't believe me. I'm like, Palenque, is nicer than a lot of the, like so-called nice places in the USA.
Yeah.
And I live in Merida, which is the safest city in Mexico, actually. And people always are like, you're gonna get killed by the cartels or all this and that, and they don't actually do that in the Yucatan. It's really safe here. Not that I'm sure they probably have some activity, but this is like a safe zone, the Yucatan and Merida. So that's why I moved here.
Funny, I was actually just reading yesterday. I fell into like this rabbit hole about this woman. I was on Reddit, and then somebody had posted something about how like their in their hometown there was a lot of like cartel violence and things like that. And somebody commented an article leading to the story about how this woman, her daughter was killed by the cartel, and she swore to, seek revenge for her entire life. And then she did get like, it was something like 8 people arrested, and then like it was like just really badass how she did it. She was like pretty obsessed with getting her revenge, and eventually they killed her. They like shot her like 11 times, but
Yeah.
she wasn't even scared of death at that point.
Well,
People were,
yeah,
like, telling
I
her.
have a couple stories. First off, I had a girlfriend down here for a while, and she was from Acapulco, and then a hurricane wiped that place out, so she moved to northern Guerrero State, and Guerrero State is like dangerous, I guess you could say. And Tosco also is there. It's like the Silver City, basically. And so there's a lot of cool things there, but they kill a lot of people there too. But it's like she was like just nonplussed by it, right? Like it's just part of life. For her. But I had another. I'm talking to somebody else. Not as a girlfriend, just a friend of mine around here. But her cousin um, had gotten killed by some organization. I don't know. As far as I know, cartels are fake and American propaganda. I never talk about that on the show for good reason. They actually took the opposite route, and they're like, basically, don't ask any questions about this, or some bad things could happen, and just kind of had to let it go. But I think she's from Tabasco. Is Tabasco? I think that's the other state. But Campeche is really safe, and Yucatan's really safe. And Campeche is right next to the Yucatan, so that's where I say. Well, anyway, sorry, we jumped right into that topic, but introduce yourself to the audience. I always do that for first-time guests. Tell people who you are, what it is you do online, etc.
Okay. I'm Blassie. My @ on Twitter is @ Megan the Valium. But I go by Blassie, and I think I'm just a shit poster, really. When it comes down to it, I'm just a girl online. I don't know. I've called myself a lot of things in the past. I'm an e-girl. I don't know if I identify with that anymore. Just a shit poster, online provocateur.
Now you've written some
I don't
stuff as well, and I saw you through Delicious Tacos, and he had retweeted you, I guess, a few times or something, and I'd found your post funny because half the time I can't tell if you're being serious or not. So, and so that intrigues me already. So I'm like, she's trolling, right? She's fucking around, or is she not, right? And so I'm sitting there thinking, anyway, some of them crack me up. And I have another mutual friend of ours, and I was talking to her, and I was like, yeah, I want to get her on the show, etc. And your posts are pretty controversial sometimes. Like this one, I'll pull this one up. It'll take you off the screen for a minute, but I'll pull this one up, and it's from yesterday, and I'll see how many views, how many million views it has right now. It has 2.6 million views. Now this guy, I'll explain the story again for the people who just got here. I can see both sides to this case, by the way.
Yes.
Now, so his wife had been applying for jobs, and she received 2 rejection emails. Then her husband sent this email and says, your application has been accepted. Gideon Dunster is his name, which is wild. But anyway, it says, hi, Haley. I'm excited to tell you that you've been accepted as wife, quote unquote, to Gideon. Congratulations, best Dunster wife selection committee. And somebody said, this is so pure. And you said, imagine tirelessly looking for a job because the man you married doesn't provide for you, and he sends you this. Now, first off, let me ask you, were you being serious with your post?
I'd like to explain that. Okay, so I was being kind of serious. I mean, like I was talking about this, and like, I would assume because the guy, Gideon Dunster, cannot believe that that's a real name,
I can't either.
but that's his name.
Yeah.
Somebody found his LinkedIn, and he's like this, like, and it was posted by like this PhD page. So like, I don't know, it's like a place for PhDs, and he has a PhD in, like, I don't know, I think it was like environmental science or something like that. And so I'm assuming his wife is an academic
Right.
of some sort,
Right.
and she probably is choosing to work. But I would assume that she doesn't get paid a whole lot. I think that what I was doing is I wanted people to imagine what I was imagining when I saw that. Like, I was imagining like a woman on her couch reading her emails late at night in a dark living room with only like the glow of her laptop like lighting her face. She's wearing like 3-day-old like sweatpants and like a sweatshirt, and her hair is like ratty, and then she's like looking for jobs, and she just cannot find a job because it is so tough right now, and she's just reading rejection after rejection after rejection, and then she sees accepted, and she clicks on it, and then it's her fucking husband that is the reason that she has to fucking work in the first place, because otherwise they'll lose their fucking house or something like that. And it says accepted. Like, that would make me full on like, I don't know, like Eileen Warno's Gone Girl, etc. Like, I would like have to like, yeah.
So,
but that's probably not the case, though. That's probably not the case. She probably chooses to work, and then that's fine. But I was just imagining like a funny scenario where that's like
you're
the
like, oh,
thing
I
that
got it. Like, finally, oh, yes, I've been waiting for this exception. And, oh, it's my husband fucking around with some bullshit.
Right.
Yeah, right. Like this fucking asshole. Now, other people saw it as, oh, he's being sweet and he's trying to cheer up his wife and da da da. So I can see both sides of it. But honestly,
Yes.
it's a little. I see your side to it though, because you're like, oh wow, what? I got accepted. Yes. Oh, and then you read it and you're like, it's my dumbass husband. Fucking god damn. You know what I mean? And I saw a ton of people just got enraged by what you said. First off, about his need to provide, and that being a thing, like your husband having to provide, and a woman shouldn't have to work, and this and that. What are your thoughts on that first thing?
Well, it depends. It's like a case by case thing. Like, it's just like I feel like I've said this before. Like, I think prescriptive advice about like how to attract a lover, or how to have a successful relationship, or how to, how to do life in general, given by the internet, is usually like so useless, because
Yes.
there's really just so much that is lost, or that it's just like not explained by things like that. Like, there's all sorts of dynamics, and some of them work, and there's like men who are like stay at home kind of, and their wives are more like the breadwinner, and then they're happy. So if they're happy, then who are we to like say that that's wrong or bad. And like I said, she's probably choosing to work. She's probably like, I would assume that she's an academic of some sort. So, I think that there's nothing really wrong with it. And of course, if they're married, things were discussed beforehand. I don't know. For me personally, I've always it's just I mean, I don't know. I would probably be okay.
I mean, do you
I don't
think
know
the
if I would.
husband should have to provide, or should at least have that ability, for you to be interested in marriage with them? I mean, women have different
Yeah,
perspectives, right?
I wouldn't want to be like. I mean, the thing is that like I grew up really poor, and so I wouldn't say like I'm traumatized by it, but I'm like I'm sick of it. I think I would prefer like a different,
Yeah.
like if I have to like subscribe, I don't want to subscribe to poor every year. I think I would like to like upgrade at some point if I can. I just think that it would be kind of like, I think if I were to, I don't know if it's to say, because like, yeah, when I say it, I can kind of see where everybody in the comments who was attacking me is coming from. Like, yeah, I do kind of sound like entitled and whatever, but when you say it on the internet, it sounds like it's just so easy to say it when you're typing it and like behind like a
Well, I mean, a
pseudonym.
lot of
But like,
women
yeah,
feel
when
that
you're
way, right? Or some want to work, right? Or I guess maybe you'd like it if you had you didn't have to work, right? Maybe if you wanted to work, you
yeah,
could, right? But he's able to provide for the household, able to provide for your upkeep, right? Clothes, everything, stuff like that. And if you chose to do something, which you may want to, right? That
yeah.
would be one thing versus, oh, I have to, like, this guy's not making enough
Yeah, I
money.
have to, otherwise this like household is gonna like sink down. Like
Yeah.
that would be like so. And I would be like, why the fuck am I married? Why wouldn't I just be single? I could just be single and poor. I could just be,
Yes.
whatever. But yeah, it upset a lot of
It
people
did.
in my comments, and like it honestly reached like parts of Twitter that I hadn't even like really pissed off before. Like it like reached like it was a very like male side of Twitter, like very like
Yeah.
like video game kind of guys that were just like, no fucking way would anybody ever provide for you. Wouldn't know like who the fuck are you to say like, wait, can I cuss? I feel like I've
Yeah, you
cussed so
can
much.
say
I feel
whatever
like
you want on here. Yes.
yeah, like who would provide for you essentially. And like I think that, I really didn't there's been times where like I've gotten like tweets go really viral, and then like what people say does kind of get to me, but this wasn't really like anything, anything that really got to me, or really cut deep at all. I think that they're kind of like upset with their own like impotence to, and they kind of are frustrated with themselves that they know that they couldn't like provide for a woman. And they I feel like they would like to,
Yeah.
but they just can't, and they're really frustrated with that, because I don't know, because it's like makes them feel. And then when somebody like even calls out like something that's like even sort of, they just like they start to spew all
It
this
hit
kind of
them. Yeah, it hit them because they're like, they wish they could provide for a woman like that, but they don't make enough money, or they're in a low wage job or whatever.
so they get super defensive.
Yeah.
And like I've made a tweet that's it's like something along the lines of like, it's always been like, people who've made fun of like my skin color, it's always like a brown guy, like
I saw that one
online.
guy,
Like
yeah.
it's always been like like an Indian guy who's like making fun of like me being brown, which is like hilarious. It's always been and it's always been like it's never been a super attractive like good looking man who's been like saying who's ever like insulted me for my looks or whatever. It's never been, and I just said something along the lines of like it's never a good looking guy who calls you ugly or whatever. It's never a rich guy who is like, you know, upset with like your financial situation, and it's never yeah, it's always a brown guy who's upset with your skin color. So it's just like, yeah, it's people who are kind of frustrated with their own, you know, kind of their own lot in life, and kind of have to, you know, they kind of project a little bit. So
They take it
you know,
personally too. A lot of these tweets, and it's like, okay, she's shit posting, like, and they take it really personally. First off, let me pull this guy up, because and obviously we've shown some of your photos on Twitter. I chose a classy Blassie photo. I didn't put the bikini or anything like that. You've posted plenty of bikini pictures and stuff like that. I did post one when I first announced that you were coming on, and they do get a lot of attention. The bikini photos, obviously. Say what? Go ahead.
yeah, it's a real shock that they get a lot of attention.
No, I can't understand why. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say this though, like I have posted less bikini pictures than most online like girls. Like I've actually made a very conscious decision not to post bikini pictures up until like those set of pictures I took when, you know, that I uploaded. Because one time I did when I was like a low B, I posted like a mirror selfie where I'm wearing like this bikini, and then people just went absolutely fucking like nuts in like a mean way. Well, like it was like kind of mixed, you know. Some people were just like feral, but some people were like feral in like a very upset way, and they were just being like, and I just deleted it. So I was like, you know what, never again. I feel like this is too potent. There's really no reason for me to, you know, for me to do this. It's just like, you know,
they are pretty potent, I'll say, but yes.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's like, you know what, I'll just not unleash that on people.
Well, I mean, you know, in my mind, it's like, well, it's promotion, right? And it's using what you got, right? Like it's, you know, I saw a tweet you had made about, I guess you were quote tweet somebody else about women with small breasts. It was a study or something, envying women who have larger breasts, and I found that actually to be true in real life. Like I've seen women like complain or be like, "Well, I wish I was stacked like her" or whatever. And so I do see a lot of that. But yeah, they have gotten some attention. But as far as I see, it's like, well, you know, it's like promotion, right? It's like, you know, using what you have, right? And you know, it gets more attention to your account. It gets more views, right? So
it's just like, I don't know. I'm having fun online, and I don't think that I'm unique in this. Like I think most women are kind of, you know, I wouldn't say narcissistic, but I'd say like, you know, having fun online. You take a hot pic and
yeah, most women are like that. Most women that I've known, and they'll take a hot, like I was talking about my ex-girlfriend. You know, she would take a hot bikini picture. You know, they like being told they're pretty, right? Or seeing people say that, oh, you look good or whatever, this or that. Now, that's not always what they say. This guy, I'm gonna pull up this guy here. I don't know if you can see him on your screen, but the Pittsburgh Steelers guy, and he said, "Not even mid. Take away her tits, and she's a solid 4." And then he posted his picture as a response, so you get what's the mixture, and then I always see too. Well, where's our OnlyFans or this or that, which you don't have, and so. What are your thoughts on the hate comments first before I ask you about your thoughts about the more feral comments?
Yeah, so with that guy in particular, I've gotten like a lot of comments that are kind of in that genre, like, "Oh, take away this, and you know, she's nothing." But it's like, but you can't take away that.
That's what I'm saying.
But then it's like, and then it's like, how, you know, that's like, obviously, clearly this guy's like trying to like knock me down a peg. He thinks I'm like too confident or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, how, you know, how would, it's not fair, because how would I knock him down a peg? I'd be like, oh, well, if this guy didn't have such a great body, then he'd be a 4, but he doesn't have a great body. If this guy didn't have so much money, he'd be a 4 definitely, but he doesn't have that much money. If this guy didn't have such a handsome face, if this guy wasn't so funny, if this guy wasn't such a, you know, in another way, didn't have such an amazing quality that just like makes the women go crazy over him, then he'd be a 4, but he doesn't have any of it. And so how can I do it back to him? You're just already a 4.
Take away.
And I'll say this as well, like, you know, women who, if people want to call me a 4, or, you know, they want to say things. One time somebody anonymously, you know, coward, called me a Southern California 5. They were like, they sent me an anonymous message that was like, you're a SoCal 5. And I was like, you know what, like, you know, I'll say, you know, for women, even if you aren't as, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder,
yeah,
sort of, to an extent. But even if you are, you know, like a less attractive woman, your life could actually still be like really great if you have like other kind of qualities to make up for it. And, you know, it's the world is much, I think, much kinder probably to a woman who is less conventionally attractive than to a man who is like less conventionally attractive. I think if a man is less conventionally attractive, then he is like absolutely like invisible if he doesn't have like a great personality, a fantastic sense of humor, or like, you know, a bunch of money.
Yeah, you have to have something else to make up for it. Yeah, funny helps. Being funny helps. That always helps. But yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, for a woman, like, there's always going to be a guy who wants to fuck to be vulgar. Like, you know what I mean? There's always going to be something, right? I would say for most women, right? Like, it's not like there's a shortage of men who are going to want you, right? Okay, so now how about the positive comments, or the over the top positive comments? I saw you said you met up with somebody on a dinner, and this guy like went crazy and this and that. But what about like the people who like are obsessed with the bikini pics, or they think you're so beautiful and they send you all these messages and stuff? Is that wild as well? Like, is that
a Smaster 33 sent $1 on Rumble. Riding a unicycle has always helped me pick up chicks.
Riding a unicycle has helped him pick up chicks. He said, okay, well, I'll work on that. But go ahead. What are your thoughts on the...
There is actually like a unicycle rider in Chicago who's like popular for being like, and he also wears like cat ears. It's like funny. I always see him, if anybody's from Chicago, I see him on Milwaukee
He gets tons
Avenue.
of pussy, I bet. Yeah.
Oh, I bet he's just pussy's coming to him in droves. But the over the top comments, I will say, like, it's just, I've been on the internet for I'm 22 now. I've been on the internet since I was like probably like 10 or 11, and I've been like, I've how do I put this? Like, I've been a woman online for a long time. I've been like, I've posted selfies and things like that on Facebook when I was like in middle school, and even those would kind of go like a lot further than my closest friends. Like they would they would go, well, we would say that it was viral in my like little like neighborhood, and they would like, it would get like 800 likes or something like that, and I would get like insane, even then I would get pretty insane messages like on Facebook, right? And so I've always, I've kind of had this sort of like, it's, I don't know how to say it. It's sort of like maybe an excess of attention. And it's, I sound like such a dick when I say it. As the words come out of my mouth, I feel like such a, I feel like I'm not trying to,
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. But are you saying you're like almost inoculated to it at this point, or does it still get a little?
It doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter really, because you start to find that, I think that at sort of any kind of attention online, whether it be good or bad, is totally cheap, and it's totally just grasping at what you give online, which I don't. I mean, I've said this before. Like my Twitter is kind of the playground for the id of my psyche. It's where all of my like really just my unrefined thoughts go to like, you know, I just like have to put them somewhere. I put them on Twitter. It's like the first thing that comes out of my mind. It's not something that I would probably tell another person face to face. And so and then the same with selfies. It's just like, it's just a snapshot of a moment. It's not you in motion. It's not who you are. It doesn't, you know, people don't know who you are really. So what cuts deep is if, you know, I've lost some like mutuals over like some of my tweets, like some people who I've followed have followed me back for a long time have like blocked me or like unfollowed me. That really hurts. Sometimes when it comes from girls, sometimes that hurts a little more. But when, you know, but yeah, the excessive comments from like you know, men or like whatever, like something like that, it's just I know it just doesn't mean much in real life. They probably wouldn't say it to my face. So it's just, you know, it kind of just, I don't know, it loses its
power. Yeah. And sometimes, look, I guess you could say I'm one of the most hated people online in some certain respects, right? And so I have a group of trolls who follow my every move and chronicle my life and my children and, you know, all my relationships and makeup things. And some things are true. I've had a lot of, you know, bad things happen. I've had substance abuse issues. I lived out in public and all kinds of things. Good and bad moments. And so I'm sort of a infamous figure with a lot of people who follow me around, and I got a ton of people just blocked straight out because I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. But like, there's a group of weirdos sniping my stream right now who snipe my stream every single day, just so they don't watch my actual stream and add to the number count. And they sit over there and they like lie about my mother and make up all kinds of crazy shit. So I'm a little bit inoculated to it too, right? You know, I could always just stop, but you know, you kind of just get used to it, right? People saying the meanest, absolutely craziest shit about you. You kind of get used to it after a while. But you said something about sometimes the comments from the women may be cutting a little bit deeper. Why would that be?
I don't know, because I feel like I might take their opinion a little bit more seriously, or might think that they might be coming from somewhere that isn't just like a weird mix of like horny and upset, and, you know, that like they might have a point. And so yeah, sometimes it hurts a little bit more when it's coming from a girl, but not really. Also, they can also, especially on Twitter, I feel like, you said that you're like one of the most hated people online. I feel like that a lot too, because I feel like half of Twitter has me blocked at this point. Like, I can't see anything. When people send me a post, I'm like, I can't see anything. Like, it's just like, it's insane how many people have me blocked. And but yeah, you know, sometimes, I don't know, I guess sometimes I'm like, yeah, you could just stop. You could just like not be online, but then, you know, what's the fun in that?
Yeah, exactly. And also it's letting the haters win, for one. And also, this is my job, right? This is my full-time job, streaming. And so I would have to find another job for one, and I don't feel like that doing that and having a real job. I'd prefer doing this, and so, you know, fuck that. I'm not going anywhere. But also, it's letting the haters win. You know, letting them drive you off. Like, that'll never happen. I would drop dead before I let you know, scumbags like that drive me offline. It's like spite almost, right? It's like I can't be driven offline. Can't abort the retort is an old line here on the show. But let me ask you about your experience, if you're able to talk about it or want to talk about it on the Whatever podcast. I don't know if you're able to or want to, but
I think it should be fine.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to be cool about it. Okay, so you were invited out there, and it's my understanding they didn't pay your travel, right? You had to figure out your own travel out there.
No, they don't pay.
They don't pay your travel. They don't pay your accommodations. And of course, they make a ton of money on these shows. And we've watched their show and went through their show a million times on here. A lot of what we do, we have guests and debates and stuff like that too. But we also, we're reviewing other content and, politics and stuff like that too. But sometimes we'll go over their show. Something will be happening over there. Andrew Wilson was on there, I guess, a couple weeks ago, and some chick put her ass like next to him, and he jumped up like
well, like she mooned him or something.
Huh?
Like her bear. She like mooned him or like
yeah,
her
she
bear
moaned
ass?
him. She moaned him. Well, she had a thong on, so but yeah, it was basically her bare ass. But he had been going in on her. But he jumped up. He's supposed to be Mr. Religious or whatever, and he jumped up like it was a Holy Ghost or something, right? Like and. It was mildly funny, but I find their show to be, first off, Fresh and Fit's a similar show, but I found their show to be more entertaining because the hosts are more entertaining, right? It's very similar in a lot of ways. The Whatever podcast to me is like the Cracker ripoff version of Fresh and Fit. Right, where it's always the same questions too. It's like, well, how many men have you fucked, and how many do you have on the hook right now, and how did you get here, and what are your sexual experiences, and da 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 da, and don't you feel like a hoe because you did this and that, and I don't know, I don't really get the appeal of the show, honestly.
Yeah, even before I went on, I didn't understand the appeal. To be quite honest, whenever it would come up on my timeline, I would almost make a point not to view it because, I spend a lot of time on social media online viewing, brainless, retarded, short form content, and even as somebody who's been online for a long time, that makes me feel like I'm actually losing brain cells. And I'm not just saying that because I went on and it was like a whole thing.
And we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's always the same. It's like, oh, what's your body count? And don't you feel like that makes you less valuable now? And what guy's going to want you? Which is honestly total bullshit if you been in real life. I guess there are a few guys who care about that sort of thing or whatever, but I would say that 80 to 90% don't, right? Don't really care. I guess if it's like 2,000 or something like that, maybe they would care. But I feel like most men don't really even care about that sort of thing, and it's sort of like just a LARP in the first place that they're putting on.
Yeah, I think that it's sort of that's one of the things that I'm prescriptive advice on what your body count shouldn't be over this, or shouldn't be, because when you meet someone in real life and you're charmed by them, and you develop sort of a crush, it's sort of really hard to knock you off of that crush. You can sit here and say oh, I wouldn't be with a girl who is this and that. I wouldn't, be with I wouldn't be with a guy who's isn't over 6 feet tall and doesn't make $500,000 a year. You could say all sorts of things. You could say all sorts of things about the other sex and what you would and would not accept. However, if you go out in real life, let's say that you're outside and you see someone that you're attracted to, you go on a first date, and then you find that they don't exactly live up to your expectations or what you expected that you would want in another partner. You start to be like, well, I guess I can let this slide this once. And it's just it doesn't take into account the magical feelings that arise when you really like someone, when you're really smitten. It's just and nothing in the world matters. You're on a cloud. You can't be knocked down. So who gives a shit if he doesn't exactly fit all of your stupid boxes that were kind of pointless in the first place. So I think that's why that show is kind of dumb. But also I do think that there are just even the editing in those clips, my God, that's why I have to scroll past them. It's they're made for the ADHD kind of landscape. They're following the facial expressions of everyone. They're zooming in, they're zooming out. They got captions for every single fucking word that you say. It's so that it's junk. It's literally just junk so that you don't click off.
Clouded Trigger sent $2 on Rumble.
You can hear that.
Their viewership doesn't go
yeah,
on date, just whine and fap.
I don't know what's the like the protocol for that. Do you
No,
like
it's
pause?
fine. Yeah, I'll read it. It says their viewership doesn't go on a date, just whine and fap is what he said. Well, it's just, to me, it's just not based in reality, honestly. I mean, I guess there are some guys out there who, you know, has to be below 5 or virgin or whatever. There's too much information, but I was married to a virgin one time and whatever, but like that wasn't part of the attraction, right? I just clicked with this person. And when you just click with somebody, like, I couldn't care less really how many people they had been with. That wouldn't even enter my mind. Here goes another one.
Clouded Trigger sent $2 on Rumble.
Oh, dates.
Date spelling tax.
See, spelling tax. He misspelled his last super chat. But like, when you click with somebody, you're not sitting, you know, like you said, you have certain preferences or certain things you might like about a person, or body types, or, you know, eye color or whatever. But when you click with somebody, and it's not like, well, how many people did they sleep with in college? And man, they really ran through. And like, it's not even real life. I feel like, and it's just a put on the whole show.
Yeah. It's just, people don't take into account the sort of like the magic and they, like, you know, when you meet, like you said, when you meet someone and you're just absolutely like over the moon, you can overlook so many things. That's why you know, you'll see like your friends or something like that, somebody close to you, they'll be asking you for relationship advice, and then they'll tell you about their relationship, or you'll just know about their relationship, and you'll think like, how the fuck are you guys still together? You guys seem to be like, you know, 2 like minutes away from like killing each other, and you guys are still with each other. From an outside perspective, it's pretty easy to see when something is dysfunctional, but like when you are in it, it is, you know, it's so hard, you know, to sort of like, you know, see things objectively. And so I think that show is, I don't even think that they believe their own kind of gifts. Same thing with Pearl, who is somebody who I've also online beef with, to the point that she has also blocked me. But so has the Whatever Pod now, and like, I don't think that they believe their own grift, and that's what I find really. That's what I think is unforgivable. It's like the sort of like total insincerity, because like I go online and like part of it's a joke, but a lot of it is really sincere, or a lot of it is actually like, you know, I'm like extremely like vulnerable at times online, and like, you know, and also people have called me a grifter, and I'm not selling anything, so I don't know why they would like, you know, how that would even be true. But yeah, I think that people like the people on the Whatever podcast, they don't believe their own grift. I only researched it until after I went on, which is really, it's just super smart. But like I went on like Brian's like Instagram page, and it looked like he had been like making content for a long time, and I think that he just found something that like works. And if it, you know what, hats off.
I mean, it makes a lot of money. Like I can't hate on another man's bag, right? Like, it makes a lot of money, but I just find it to be boring and larpish, and it's always the same show, and sometimes there's a crazy moment or whatever, but like, what is even really the point of this? And he's so boring himself. Like, I just find him really annoying, and he seems like a homosexual as well. Like, I don't know, was the one you were on where he had the guy where he said he screens his partners for him? I don't know if that was your show.
Oh yeah, that's the one that I was on. Yeah, like, it was bizarre. It was like this like guy who's like like I think he was like in the Air Force or something, and like he was like, you know, objectively like conventionally like attractive, and he's like, yeah, he's a virgin, and that like every potential date has to be screened by him, and I'm like, all right, you know.
Yeah, that's gay. Yeah. I don't know.
I think I said something along the lines of that. I questioned. I'm like, are you guys like, you know, like, I'm like, why did you guys just like make out? Like,
it's really weird. And then you also ask him, why are you not trying to fuck these chicks? Basically, right? Like, what is even wrong with you? What's going on here? I don't know. You can describe your experience a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I got this DM after I went on the show. Pretty, I've since lost the DM because it was just sitting in my requests, and sometimes things get lost that way. Yeah. This one girl messaged me, and she said, "I swear this is, you know, I mean, this is all alleged. I'm not going to say that any of this is true, but I did get a DM from a girl who was apparently went to UC Santa Barbara, which is where the podcast takes place in Santa Barbara, California. And she said something along the lines of like Brian being like a sex pest, like IRL to like girls. I wish I'd screenshotted it, or I wish I could find it, but I can't. It's totally lost. I'm not sure what happened, but she might have like deleted it even. I don't know. But she said something along the lines of like him being like a sex pest, and it being like a very known thing with like UC Santa Barbara like students and particularly the girls, which, you know, I do get the impression that Brian is someone who is kind of, you know, I mean, he seems like his online persona, his podcast persona, whatever he puts on, is probably like very divorced from who he is in real life. I don't know. I don't think that he goes around asking women like this, you know.
Nobody does that. That's what I'm saying.
But I will say that the experience itself was like, I mean, yeah, it's just a dumb thing. It's just it is a really dumb podcast. And like, I thought it would be really funny if you know, I went in, if anybody had gone in and just kind of like shaken things up in like a way that like, you know,
it was entertaining. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if somebody had just been like, just stop with all the questions about like, you know, like all the questions that you asked a million times before. Can we just like talk about like what's going on here? And then they kind of don't know how to even respond to that, because they're following like the script. Like they know that if you say like, oh yeah, you know, I think a man should be the provider in the relationship, they're going to be like, why don't you think like a what? They know what to say to that. They know what to say to a ton of things. They know how to push a girl's buttons, but to answer like what is going on here, I don't think that anybody had ever asked that. And I just thought it would be so funny, because I'm like, well, you know, I'm a pretty big comedy fan, and I like things that are like absurd and
it was a bit Kaufman-esque.
Yeah, Kaufman-esque. I mean, I did go with an outfit that was resembling one of Andy Kaufman's famous.
I called that on the air. I said she's even dressed like Andy Kaufman. I'm a big Andy Kaufman fan because, well, I'm a big wrestling fan, and he did an angle in Memphis, where I'm from, before I was born even, but where he was the like world's women's wrestling champion or whatever.
Yeah, I have a t-shirt that's that exact.
Yeah,
it's a yellow.
I have that shirt too, actually.
I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan. I have a ton of Andy Kaufman things. I've almost every book that's been written on him and by him.
Have you ever seen I'm From Hollywood?
Yeah, I have like the DVD of it. Wow. And
okay.
And also I have this. This is a very recent addition to my collection. My brother just got me this for me because,
Blassie, classy Freddie Blassie, yeah.
Classy Freddie Blassie, because we got into an argument, and this is how he apologized.
Well, yeah, so I'm a huge Kaufman fan, and I could tell what you were doing the whole time. And I've, you know, studied his career, and of course the whole Memphis angle, you know, Jerry Lawler slapping him on, he really slapped him too, by the way, on Letterman. Yeah. And they didn't tell Letterman beforehand that was going to happen, so Letterman's completely freaked out about what's happening, and thinking it's a shoot, but it wasn't. It was a work the whole time. But we were reviewing this on air, and I said, she's clearly doing a Kaufman bit, and she's even dressed like Andy Kaufman on the show. And so I'm glad to hear you confirm that. I'm glad.
Yeah, the joke is absolutely there and written very clearly for anybody who wants to like grab it. You know, like the joke is there. Like it's, yeah, I wasn't subtle about it, which is what I respect about Andy Kaufman, is that his entire life, you know, do you like, who even knows what was a joke? And like even his death,
right?
You know, I happen to be one of the people who think that he faked his own death.
A lot of people think that.
You know, I really do believe that. But like, you know, I mean, and there's a lot of people who even speculate still. I'm in like a few Facebook groups, which is really like, it's obviously a very cool thing to be a part of. Not like nerdy or gay or at all, but I'm in a few Facebook groups that's like Andy Kaufman is still alive, and you know, it's mostly just like, I think like men in their 40s or 50s being like I saw Andy Kaufman at a Publix, and it's like, no, you didn't. But yeah, like his whole his everything, like his, you know, his interviews, his comedy, it's just like, it is is so insanely funny, but like you don't know what's a joke and what's put on and what isn't. And that's his entire life. I don't think he has a famous quote that's like, I've never told a joke in my life. And also that I don't perform for the masses. I perform for the few who know. But yeah, that's what I respect the most about him. Something that I could never do is like, he never gave like the audience a wink.
He wouldn't break character. And
I break. I'm telling you now.
I know you break, but I mean it's hard to do a full Kaufman, right? And so I know a lot about him, his career, of course, Taxi. I watch a ton of Taxi as well, but his feud with Lawler, specifically Jerry Lawler. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so Jerry Lawler is like a hero in Memphis, Tennessee, and that whole feud is like one of the most famous in wrestling history. And I'm telling you things you already know, probably. But Lawler and him never revealed that it was a work the entire time. And Lawler himself, after Kaufman died, quote unquote, went out on air. And instead of saying something nice about him, he basically shit on him, even though they were actually really good friends, right? And had done a really good angle. But instead of being nice about it, he was like basically like, "Hey, this guy's a fucking scumbag, and I'm not gonna act like I'm sad that he's dead." And da 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 da. Even though he was, right? And he didn't reveal until the Man on the Moon movie till like 1999. That it was a work the whole entire time. That everything was work. The whole Letterman thing was a work. Everything all throughout was a work. And apparently he got into some beef with Jim Carrey on the set because Jim Carrey was going full Kaufman like on the set, like not breaking character. And it was.
I think that Jim Carrey is totally insufferable, and I don't mean just in that. I mean like in other aspects of like it's just like it's known that he's I think like a really fucking bizarre.
Yeah. Also, I'm glad they did the movie, but I feel like he was kind of a letdown a little bit as playing Kaufman. I loved him reenacting the wrestling stuff, and Lawler played himself right in the movie and all that stuff, and so. That was cool, but yeah, I'm a huge Andy Kaufman fan. Anyway, I'll stop there on the Kaufman stuff. The audience can do their own research on Kaufman, but so you went in there, did the Kaufman bit. You looked like you had a couple drinks, maybe. I think you were sipping on something while you were there as well, and they just totally freaked out and threw you out of the building.
Yeah.
And like tried to film you as you're going away too, and I guess you like hit the guy's camera or whatever, and they're like, "That's assault! You can't touch! What in the world? You just assaulted this guy!"
Yeah. Well, what I would say about that is that yes, they did give me like some seltzer or whatever, like some hard seltzer when I was there. Whether or not I had a drink before or after that, that's nobody's business. I did have one hard seltzer, and then the guy who I got into like the little scrap with afterwards. Well, here's what I'll say about him is that him and I from the very beginning we weren't getting along. Like even before the thing started going.
James
the cameras
Gardner sent $5 on Rumble.
I'll play that after, James. Thank you. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah. So even like before that, he had told me to take off my sunglasses, and I almost left before I started because of the sunglasses issue. So I had to put them up on my head, and so him and I were not getting along. He seems like a young guy. I think his name was Nick. He's a very fratty guy, and something funny is that like when they started like posting about it, like. I feel like it must have really, really struck a chord because he had a Twitter account that he hadn't. It was very apparent that he hadn't used it at all, and the only things that he was replying to were like things that were like ragging on me, and like the only likes that he had on his Twitter account history ever were just like things that were insulting me. So I was like, wow. I mean, like I really did. I guess it did strike a chord with him. But what I will say is that after, I understand the whole like thing that they have to go back and forth. I understand it. I get it, and I expected to get kicked out. And honestly, I'm really glad I did because it went on for 7 hours.
So
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know how you could like stand to be there for 7 hours. Even 2 hours was like enough. And I thought that it would have been like a successful it would have been a successful bid if I'd gotten kicked off. It wouldn't have been a successful bid if I hadn't gotten kicked off. I don't think that I would have been like happy with like, I'm like, I would have thought like, where could I have taken it further? Like, how could I have gotten like, how could I have managed to get kicked off? But luckily for me, it was relatively easy. However, after I got kicked off, I was like, okay, you know what? It's over. It's done. You know, I'm out of the, you know, the sort of, you know, bid kind of, mode that I was in, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. I'm pretty tired. I kind of want to, you know, just get out of here. And he was like, oh yeah, we have to record this. And I was like, oh gosh, like I'm not like, you know, and I really don't like somebody having their camera all up in my face. This is something I made a tweet about not too long ago, that I think that like the way that the public, and it's sort of been like super normalized in like public spaces to like just pull out your phone and record anything when anything is like even going slightly weird. And it's just like, I think it's just like weird and schizophrenic, and you know, it makes me like even not want to go out in public as much, because like it's just so bizarre, this kind of culture of like just like pulling out your phone and sticking it in people's faces. So he was like recording me, and I was like, and I told him not to, and he's like, no, yeah, I got to, like I have to. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. And if like somebody says no, I understand, you know, the whole like streaming thing, but like I think that once somebody is off, like I think you could just let them off the hook, you know.
Yeah,
no,
just let them walk out the door. Yeah,
just let them leave. But of course they couldn't do that. And so, but in the video that he took, that they released like a month later, you know, it took them a while to like actually upload that. In the video where the iPhone footage, it shows that he touches me first.
Yeah.
It does show that he touches me first. And so like, you know, people were, I think they were trying to like allege that like I touched him first or like whatever. But that's not true. It's very clear in the video that he put his hands on me first. And also, if somebody tells you not to record them, then like, you know, and it's like pretty cut and run. You shouldn't do it. Then just stop. Otherwise, you know, there is a risk. Even though I didn't touch him first, there was a risk that I could have. And you know, there's a risk that you take with anybody if you stick a camera in their face and they tell you not to. You can get your ass beat. And I think a lot more people should be getting their ass beat, because then if even a few people get their ass beat, then I think it's going to scare a lot of people into not doing it. But like people just think that they could just do that sort of stuff without any consequences. But yeah, that's the one thing that I'll say. I get everything else, and I'm not mad about it, and I understand that I put myself in that like situation, so I'm not like, you know, and I thought it was funny. I thought the whole thing was funny, but I really didn't like having a camera stuck in my face.
That's like, don't record, right? Somebody tells you that. IP2 streamer, I don't know if you know what IP2 is, but crazy like IRL streamer was in Las Vegas one time and was like putting the phone. We were hanging out at first, and you know, I'm a content creator, quote unquote, whatever. Everything was cool, and then he's putting his phone in my face, and it's playing this like song that's like anti-me or whatever, and I'm like, get this shit out of my face, right? And he didn't get it out of my face, and I snatched the fucking phone away from him, and I was like, motherfucker, like, it's about to be a fight right here in the middle of Vegas. I'm about to fucking break your phone on the goddamn ground, like, if you don't get this fucking shit out of my face. And I ended up giving it back to him, and he went the other direction after that. But it's like, you know, you're liable to get hurt, or somebody take your shit or break your phone. Like, and in Mexico, I don't know if you know this, it's actually against the law to film somebody in public without their permission, to just pull out your camera and start filming. Like, it's in, like, I think it's in the Constitution, like an official thing in Mexico, that it's against the law to do it like that. Now I'm sure, you know, some people still do it anyway, but yeah, it's actually against the law here, not America, you know.
Yeah, it's, you know, I've even like posted something about this. It's like, I think you see a lot of these videos where somebody is sort of like taking a video of somebody else.
Yeah,
in public, and
here. Yeah, go ahead.
And then the first thing that the person will say is that they'll be like, you can't record me. And then the other person will be like, yeah, I can. And then they stop. The other person doesn't say it again. They stop fighting. And it's because they realize, yeah, it's a fucking free for all. There's no protection. There's nobody here to like, you know, no, he can, you know, it doesn't feel like he should. It feels like it should. It feels wrong. It feels like very like, it feels like it doesn't feel right. You know, it doesn't feel like it's something that should be allowed, but I guess technically it is allowed. But like, yeah, people's first instinct is to say, you can't do that. And then like the other person like will like almost always smugly reply, yes, I can. I absolutely can. And then the other person will kind of accept their defeat. But the fact that that's their very first impulse is to say you can't do that, that's not allowed, like you can't do that to me, is very telling, because it does feel like sort of a thing that you shouldn't be able to do. Like, I don't know, like I grew up with like I grew up with like having like smartphones, but like when I was like really young, like, and maybe like in middle school or so, like that wasn't really a thing. But like some people had smartphones. I had like this like Nokia. It was a touch phone. It was a touch screen phone, but it was like, people would make fun of me for it regularly. So it didn't feel like if you didn't have an iPhone, then it was like game over for you. But it wasn't like it was very not allowed to have it in school. And then sort of as the years, sort of as the years went by in high school, they started allowing it more, and then of course you could get it taken away from you. And I don't know exactly how things are now, because I've been out of school for a very long time, but like I wonder, like I feel like I would assume that things are still getting more and more relaxed. Like it just feels like there's some places where you shouldn't be able to take out your phone, but then you realize you can. And I don't know if that's a good thing. And then I just think that people more and more are just like being like totally like reckless and just I think it's just going to be the course that things
that's just
take
the culture.
more and more.
But I will say this, most people will just accept defeat, but you can get your ass whipped as well, right? Like some people, you mess with the wrong one, or you never know what somebody's dealing with on a certain day either. That's another thing where you're taking a risk. Like you don't know what this person's been through the rest of the day, or they're dealing with a struggle, the relationship, or seeing their kid or whatever. Like, or they just got fired from their job, right? Like, or something happened. Like you really don't know what people are going through when you see them. And so I have seen some videos where people wish they had not continued upon their course as far as the filming goes. So you're kind of taking it into your own hands. I feel like we had a pretty good conversation here. It's been about a little bit over an hour. I'm not going to keep you all night, but is there anything you wanted to say that you didn't get to say first off here at the end, and then I'll let you promote your Twitter and anything else you want to promote? I
don't know if there's anything that I missed. My Twitter is, I think I said in the beginning, it's at Megan the Valium. That's MEGANTHEVALIUM. And my Substack is, which you really can't promote on Twitter, because if you ever post a link to Substack, it will get like suppressed to hell, because Twitter is like competing with them or whatever. But my Substack is you could just I changed the domain name for it. I got an official domain name, so it's BlassieOnTheBeat.net. I just chose .net because it sounded cool. It actually costed more than .com, but I like .net. There was something
old
very
school.
Archaic and
it's old school.
And so BlassieOnTheBeat.net. I haven't posted very much there, but I'm gonna post more, is what I always say.
That's what I always say too. I'm a writer myself. That's how I got started in all this. But when you stream so much, I figured out that I could make a living streaming though. Instead of writing, it's a little bit harder. I see Clouded Trigger
$1 on
said
bikini.
Salute, and then he said bikini with his emoji there, saluting your bikini, I guess. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I felt like we had a pretty fun interview, and maybe we'll have you back again sometime, or we'll think of something else to do next time instead of a straight interview, maybe some type of panel or something like that. But I appreciated you coming on, and wish you the best, and I always enjoy your Twitter, so thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for having me on. It was so fun.
All right, you're welcome. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye. Blassie.
Thank you for watching this clip. This is the CACA. Remember to like and subscribe.